Hello everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd get an update out for this starter MCRN CV. Quite a lot has been done to it. Now what I'm showing you right now is the original version, the very first one I was having trouble with a lot of things and trying to get it to fly right and have the right CPU and enough space for the parts so my second revision, I kind of stretched it out a little bit and added some blocks in and messed around with this front area a little bit, but then I didn't like the shaping all that much. Um, keep in mind what the front of this looks like as well. Um, so then I did some modding to this. Modding, yeah. So basically, on the next revision here, all the blocks in gray have been redone. So, in a nutshell, I pretty much rebuilt the entire ship again. So, more than just texturing. But in the process, I managed to get, I think, a much better looking cockpit and a lot better interior. Now, the next version here is more further along, and this one is skinned again for the second time. But yeah, that's how that came out. And basically, it's less chunky, I guess you could say. If you look at like the very first version, I had some big walls here and there, like this flat area across the side over here and stuff like that. And I think that was kind of throwing me off. I wanted a smoother look to it, and that's what I think I more or less accomplished with the newer one. It's the body doesn't have those big edges on it anymore. It's just kind of more refined, smoothed off, things like that. But that, of course, that makes me a little bit happy too. But what I'm really happy about is what I got this thing to do now. I was struggling, obviously I wanted this as a tier 2. I was planning out an upgrade path to go to tier 3 with it so you could add in a shield, more or less. Well, I did some thruster tech work here too. And in fact, like the earlier version actually had more thrusters than what the newer one does. Well, in some places. Like for instance, I cut one of the side thrusters that I used to have two of these, 2 block sized ones, and I cut also one of the reverse thrusters from each side. Replaced some down thrusters with some little bitty ones, but 4 of them. Kept the lift thrust the same, kept the forward thrust the same. But in the process of all this, well, before I tell you about that, let me just show you where I'm at with the interior. Now, the interior, obviously, I laid out, but I just started texturing this, so I just kind of worked on the ceiling in here, but everything else needs to be done up yet. In the process, now, first of all, take a look at the CPU. We are at a nice safe limit here. I got pretty much everything in but some LCDs and some sensors right now, so I'm not worried about CPU going over the 500,000. But what does this have for being a tier 2 at 500,000? Well, I increased the storage. So now it has 2 times 240K storage. So I upped it by 40 per level. Now it comes with an advanced constructor. It comes with a small constructor. It comes with all the necessary generators for a shield. So it has 2 T1 generators in here now. Then of course you've got all your other little stuff over here, your O2 and your med and your fridge, armor locker, armor repair, pentaxa tanks over there, some more cargo boxes here, dumped another one there. I brought this fuel tanks up to 6, and it's got 7 O2 tanks, Wi-Fi. But here's here's what's really neat. Okay, now this is obviously untextured too. For being a tiny little ship, I managed to get in a neat looking, well, I like it, a crew quarters, or basically your pilot. Now this isn't made for a lot of people, but it does have like 2 elevated bunk beds over here, and table and kitchenette and like living room, and then you've got your bathroom, shower, all that fun stuff over there. This ramp actually goes down to the front of the ship. This over here goes to engineering. Engineering has a shield, a offline protection, gravity generator, warp core, and your main core. And it's safe too from heat and radiation on all this stuff. Granted, I had to put up a little guardrail there, but and then of course you have your central elevator that kind of buzzes up to the farm. Now this is something else that changed dramatically. The farm now has 9 more grow plots, so 27 grow plots now instead of the 18. A couple little windows in the farm, fridge and food processor in here. And that actually goes down to your bridge, which is also accessible right here from the living room or the living space. And I kind of put in some sensors, some switches for different things. I'll have to get some LCDs in place and figure out how I'm going to do all that up yet. But that's pretty much a ship. It's got 3 different compartmentalized O2 zones, one being the bridge / crew area, another being a separate one on the farm, and another one being separated on the hangar. So basically, what I'm really happy about is I was planning an upgrade path for this, to bring it to tier 3 to add a shield. But guess what? It's got a tier 2 shield at tier 2 with all the generators, with everything else in here. And it flies really good. So it doesn't need an upgrade path anymore, except one caveat is one last feature that this thing does not have is a repair bay. Now I added in a spot to add one. The problem is if you put in a T2 repair bay, it's going to require 50,000 CPU. I don't have 50,000 CPU available, and there's no way I'm going to have 50,000 CPU available to get that functionality in here as well. But what I did do is up here, tier 2 blocks, or I'm sorry, tier 3 blocks, 2 of them will fit in here very easily. And that's really the only thing you would need to add tier 3 blocks for is if you wanted to put in a repair bay and console. But then it's going to have way more CPU than it needs. It's rough, and if there was a way I could shave off 50,000 CPU to try to get that in here too, I probably would, but I can't really cut any more thrusters. The storage makes hardly no difference at all. I could wipe out all the storage and still not have the CPU needed. So I'm kind of stuck there, but that's not really a big deal. And yeah, if you got to have a repair bay, you can add a couple T3 blocks and you can put in your repair bay and even a little location probably over here for console. But yeah, so this gives you 3 large cargo boxes, 480K storage, living space, shield. Also, when I rebuilt this too, I changed all the gun positions. Now the top 3 turrets are retractable. The side 2 are not, but it actually comes with 5 turrets as well. So yeah, it's in the comments yesterday, there was a question, like I was kind of ragging on the ship. It was like, I didn't like this and I didn't like this. And basically how I'm judging it is, to date, I think the most efficient starter CV I made is probably the Wayfarer. Now granted, it is a definite boxy ship. It's pretty roomy, pretty big. It's got a lot of features for its, tier and all that fun stuff, and it is upgradable to tier 3. You can add a shield. You can actually add a second constructor in here as well. So it had all that kind of in place, but so I was comparing this ship to the new one. Like, if I was going to start a new playthrough in the game, would I, you know, back when I was at this stage, would I use this ship instead of the Wayfarer? And it's like, no, I wouldn't do that, because I don't think it's technologically as good as the Wayfarer, um, for cost versus function. And, looks aside, they're granted they look quite a bit different. But at this point, though, I probably would use this over the Wayfarer. There are some advantages and disadvantages to each ship, though. The Wayfarer, being its big rectangle, boxy shape, does have a larger landing pad, and it does have a little bit bigger hangar in it. So those are kind of some nice options. It does have some more cargo boxes, but it has less storage. This one only has 320K storage. So the other one has more storage, has more guns, comes with a shield, has, in my opinion, a better living space. Not that it matters really much for gameplay, but this one had like a little crew room over here, which is cute and all, and then a bunch of open space for I don't even know what. It's basically I didn't know what to put there, so I just kind of put something there. The Wayfarer does have another 9 additional grow plots over what the other ship has. So basically, there are some trade-offs, but in the end, if you take a look at the overall costs of the ships, well, put it this way: the Wayfarer is a 2-hour and 27-minute build time. Doesn't come with the shield. I'm happy to say it's back to Class 1 though. And comes with 4 cannon turrets. Would be needed to be upgraded to a tier 3 for the shield. This ship comes stock with a tier 2 shield currently, although that jacks the size or the player level requirements up, so it's possible I might remove that yet. But even with that, plus an extra gun, 2-hour and 25-minute build time. Now, granted, it needs a little bit of rares right now, and I'll probably eliminate the need for that, and that has to do with little things I got in here now, like this item over here, or the armor repair. I got to figure out if there's something else in this ship that for some reason needs that stuff. I'm not sure. Oh, probably the shield. Because I do have the shield installed. And, the offline protection too. So usually these things I think require some rare resources. So they could both be removed from this build. But you don't even need to upgrade it to tier 3 to add that stuff. So I'm going to take those 2 out. I'm going to take out this item as well. And yeah, that did it. So this actually took it down to a 2-hour and 18-minute build time and no rares. So at this point, I think I'm really happy with it. I think it would be a good starter ship. It has very similar functionality to the Wayfarer, reduced in size a little bit though, but it's a little cheaper. You don't need to upgrade it to tier 3 for the shield, and other than that, it's pretty close, but it's a lot more shapely. Rather than being just a rectangle, it's got some more definition and things to it. So I'm happy about that. Love the interior. Well, after I get it textured and colored and all that stuff, but the layout feels to me it's probably closest actually to the Carapace C3 and what I built. It's not quite like the Wayfarer. One of the big differences is on a lot of these, what I would normally do is run the elevator up right from the hangar. And this one, it just didn't work out. I needed to put a warp core there. So the elevator is, you have to like get into the ship to get to the elevator over here. Um, but you don't need to take the elevator to get anywhere on the ship um, at all. You can, well, except to get to the landing pad. Now, on the first version too, I had staircase going down through here. I decided to get rid of that because it was wasting space, and I wanted that a little bit of additional space. Um, so yeah, that's about it. Other than that, it shouldn't take that much longer. I got to do a bunch of texturing inside and some lighting and some LCDs and all that fun stuff. But it's pretty happy with it now, and that shouldn't take that much longer. So this could have a release date. I don't know, pretty soon. I probably won't do it today. Might not even do it tomorrow, but at least minimum by this weekend, I should definitely have this out. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. And I was one last thing. I was taking a look at another kind of alt starter ship I made back in the day, trying to see if this thing was savable or not. And the Cosmos was it has a lot of similarities to the Wayfarer, except this was built predating shields again, so no shield was planned out for it. And this is a very bulgy ship, I'll say, but for its size, it really had a lot of capacity for moving HVs and SVs, more so than the Wayfarer yet, with a little bit bigger landing deck and bigger, wider hangar, I would say, in here as well. But I was looking at the CPU and how this ship is coming out, and I already removed all the RCS. This doesn't have a shield. I took out a bunch of the thrusters already, and the thruster placement's kind of wacky on this one too, where a lot of these aren't going to work out very well. But I don't know if I can save this ship, basically. I'm looking at it thinking, well, maybe, but I guess it's big enough if I change the interior layout somehow, somewhere, or whatnot, I could probably get a shield in here somewhere. Maybe even dump it where I used to have a constructor, which I removed one of those too. But I don't know. I don't know how many starter CVs you need, but I guess more options are always better. But as in this one, yeah, I think this one's going to be pretty solid. The last thing I need to do is test it with weights and volumes with the increased storage capacity and see how it does. I'm hoping it does okay. Like I said, this does have more lift thrust than what the Wayfarer does. Wayfarer was moving 320K. This one's 480K, but it has only 2 additional thrusters, but I think it's a little bit lighter ship too. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to find out on that one, see how it does. I do like the increased turrets too, and the new placement of them. So all these turrets are pretty much unobstructed now too. I purposely did not add any little deco blocks or anything on this entire row here, so I would not block any turrets firing. And then of course you have these 2 side turrets too, and I kind of consider these kind of like the space turrets. Like there's going to be a mode where you can turn off all these and retract them, and this would probably be the ground defense system more or less, and these stay open all the time, and they'll be more space turret. Now I thought about retracting these too, but then I got to screw up my shape over there, and I didn't want to do it, so that's basically it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I got for today. I just wanted to show you some progress on that. Express my happiness that although this, I didn't really intend to build essentially 2 ships out of the one, I did, and I'm now quite happy with it. And one of the ways I got more CPU out of this, and I said that at the beginning, is the reduction of especially like strafing thrusters. It didn't need much. In fact, I'm starting to change my my way of thinking about this a little bit too, because I'm very accustomed on all ships to add in a bunch of strafing thrusters and stuff like that. It was just what you did. It was how it worked. It's how it flew. It's how it turned, more or less. Now I don't really need them because here, let me take this thing for a flight minute and I'll show you how it actually does. Um, this thing is quite agile. Now, as in actual strafing, pretty weak there. But seriously, besides just parking, what are you going to be strafing for? It has the thrust needed to not drift away, but it doesn't need it. It doesn't need it to turn. It doesn't need it to go forward or to lift off. In fact, this thing probably handles better than a good chunk of the SVs out there right now. And because of those cuts on thrusters, it's a little bit smoother here. Um, and, well, yeah, I got a shield in at tier 2. I think that makes me quite happy. So, oh, plus the extra generator, plus more fuel tanks, plus more storage, plus, everything else, except the repair bay. And, honestly, if there was a way to clean up 50,000 more CPU off from this ship to add the repair bay, it would literally have, like, everything. But, yeah, that's pushing it. I didn't want to cut the rear thrusters, or I could cut, like, 2 of the 4 back here. I could maybe cut a lift thruster. I don't want to. I don't know. I wanted to move with the weights and volumes, and that'll be another test. But anyway, that's it for me today. Y'all have yourself a good day. See you later.